Welcome, deep divers. Today we're plunging headfirst into something a bit different. Forget the usual stack of research papers. We're exploring a gripping narrative, a story that just unfolds with these surprising twists. It takes us on this journey into how quickly life can unravel and, maybe more importantly, how one person navigates truly extreme, really unexpected circumstances.
Yeah, and our protagonist for this deep dive is Ruby Murphy. She lives what seems like a pretty ordinary life in Coney Island, but, well, you'll soon find it's anything but ordinary. She's battling a smoking habit, she works at the wonderfully quirky Coney Island Museum, and she regularly goes to therapy. But her routine, and really her entire carefully constructed world, is about to be shattered by an utterly bizarre discovery.
Right. So our mission today really is to unpack this series of increasingly surreal events that happen to Ruby. We'll explore the unexpected ways she copes, how human connections or sometimes the painful lack of them play a huge role, and, what happens when those lines between therapist and patient, reality and just absurdity completely blur. Okay, let's dive into Ruby's world. So let's begin by painting a picture of Ruby Murphy as we first meet her. She's 34, feeling moderate age, as she puts it, and she lives in this wonderfully quirky spot in Coney Island, literally within spitting distance of the Cyclone roller coaster. Can you imagine? Her apartment is above a Russian furniture store. I mean, just picture the sounds and smells. She has this unique aversion to brightness, prefers dim light, almost lizard-like, seeking warmth. And you can almost see her in her signature red halter top and jeans, a vivid character right from the start.
Absolutely, and her internal world is just as vibrant and often pretty conflicted. Take her smoking, for instance. She makes these valiant attempts to quit, gnawing on Nicorette, breathing hard, but then some minor life detail would catch her off guard. And just like that, she's making a frantic trip to the bodega for Marlboro Lights. Later, savoring the violation of her lungs, as the text puts it. It's a detail that tells you so much about her complex relationship with coping, especially with her boyfriend Ed, constantly complaining about it.
And it's interesting, she wants a dog, but her reality. 4 cats, furry sociopaths, 2 hers, 2 Eds. She's even embarrassed by the gentle way the pet food store people talk to her. It's a small detail, but it says a lot, doesn't it, about her self-perception.
It really does. And underlying all of this seemingly whimsical surface, there's a profound shadow of past trauma. Ruby's in therapy with Dr. Jody Ray because, well, her life was not always easy. Specifically, one of her lovers, Attila Johnson, had been murdered in front of her 18 months earlier. That's huge. She's haunted by this image of cradling his lifeless head, the blood from the small, neat bullet wound drying on her fingertips, just awful. Yet, despite this deep-seated pain, her job at the Coney Island Museum has actually gotten more interesting lately. They started a sideshow school where civilians can learn fire eating or walking on broken glass. Which raises a fascinating question for you listening. How does someone like Rudy, who experiences such profound personal trauma, keep navigating things and even find new interests amidst such extremes? What does it tell us about, compartmentalization, quiet endurance?
That sets the stage perfectly. Now, imagine this. A seemingly mundane day when Ruby's world takes an utterly bizarre turn. It starts with her therapist, Dr. Jody Ray, being uncharacteristically late for their session. Jody finally arrives, completely frazzled, practically collapsing out of the cab. Ruby, with her kind of mischievous streak, asks, "How are you?" Expecting the usual professional deflection. But Jody surprises her. A moment of raw honesty. She reveals, "I've had better weeks, to be quite frank," and she looks noticeably old.
And here's where it just veers sharply into the surreal, really sharply. Ruby observes Jody's fingernails. They're chewed down. A detail Ruby found strange for such a usually poised woman. It immediately sparks these internal questions about Jody's qualifications, Then Ruby's eyes drift over to the waiting room fish tank. And there, just floating, is the lower half of a human leg.
No.
A human leg. Yeah. Initially, Ruby thinks, okay, this must be a plastic leg or some kind of awful prank. But the gore is unmistakable, and the fish are all huddled at the bottom left corner, clearly avoiding it. Jody's reaction is even more shocking. Her initial look is like frowning at the bad joke, but that quickly turns into your jaw just going slack. And then, unbelievably, she grabs the leg, pulls it out of the tank, drops it, and just exclaims, "Oh, shit."
Oh my God, just grabs it.
Grabs it, and then the truly shocking revelation comes next. Jody casually points to a birthmark on the side of the calf and states flat out, "It's my husband's leg."
Her husband's leg.
Her husband's leg. Then a handwritten note appears. "No police, just wait." And Jody insists, absolutely insists, no police. She even puts the leg in, get this, a Carnegie Hall tote bag.
A tote bag.
A tote bag. And what's really striking here is Ruby's immediate coping mechanism. It's almost instinctual. She reaches for a fireball, her emergency candy. It's such a small, absurd detail, right? But it highlights something profound. In moments of just overwhelming chaos, our brains often revert to these primal, almost childlike comfort things. It reminds you that resilience isn't always grand heroism. Sometimes it's found in these mundane, even absurd little rituals that ground us. It's kind of like her slightly self-involved thought process during the World Trade Center crumbling. Her first thought wasn't horror, it was, I can't believe I'm actually getting to watch this happen firsthand.
Yeah.
It wasn't really selfishness, I think, but just her mind's way of processing something unimaginable.
That is just absolutely shocking. Not just the leg, but Jody's entire reaction. The casualness, then the panic, then immediately the cover-up. What does that immediate shift tell us about Jody's character? And maybe the deeper complexity she's been hiding. Her face is described as skim milk blue, and she practically shoves Ruby out the door.
Well, it's the first major crack in a very carefully constructed facade, isn't it? This incident isn't just bizarre, it's a catalyst. It starts connecting dots to hidden histories and unleashes this cascade of personal fallout for Ruby. We immediately see the strain in her relationship with Ed. She calls him right after this happens, but he's completely distracted by his racehorse, Juan the Bullet. It really highlights that something missing between them. And notably, Ruby makes a conscious decision not to tell him about the leg. The secrets are already starting to pile up.
So she's holding on to this massive, disturbing secret.
Exactly. And then, during a drive with Jody to her husband Tobias's apartment, these profound, almost unbelievable revelations about Jody just pour out. Jody admits she'd actually been kidnapped when she was younger, and her parents paid the ransom. Then the bombshell. Her parents were psychiatrists, both. You can imagine Ruby's reaction. And the biggest secret of all, Tobias, her husband, the owner of the leg, he was initially her patient.
Her patient.
Her patient. Initially, after a suicide attempt, this suddenly explains that mental defective comment Ruby overheard earlier, and Jody's chewed fingernails, her own hidden anxieties just simmering under the surface. And here's the truly disturbing twist. Tobias's disappearance, it wasn't a kidnapping, it was self-orchestrated. He made the rash decision to have his own leg cut off by a veterinarian named Miller, just to ensure Jody would pay up. And he has this shockingly cavalier attitude about it all. This whole reveal just forces you to question everything about trust and professional boundaries, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. You just wonder how Ruby, as her patient, is processing all of this insanity. And as if her therapist's life imploding wasn't enough, Ruby's own life starts to spiral completely out of control. She gets fired from her job at the Coney Island Museum. The accusations are vague money problems or theft, but it's mysterious. And then her relationship with Ed just crumbles. He gets these photos, apparently showing Ruby making out with Triple Harrison. Which leads to him hitting her with the devastating "I need some space" line. Ruby is apparently aghast at this grotesque, cliched, abominable phrase.
Oh, that phrase, yeah. And it's not just emotional turmoil. Physically, she suffers a head injury from Tobias during one encounter. She starts having recurring dizzy spells and develops a sudden fear of heights. So you have the situation where both her professional and personal foundations are just crumbling simultaneously. How does Ruby find a way to cope? What resources does she even draw upon when everything familiar is just ripped away like that?
It's a perfect storm. And it turns out it's not just random chaos hitting her, is it?
No, not entirely. It's a powerful illustration of how external forces can really compound internal struggles. That feeling Ruby had of being followed, that bad feeling down her spine she felt even before finding the leg, it wasn't paranoia at all. It was completely justified. The chilling truth is, her ex-boyfriend, Frank, a guy with a history of shady dealings, like being a for-hire horse assassin convicted of fraud, he'd been systematically orchestrating her misfortunes. He's the man Ruby kept seeing in that blue Honda.
So he was actively trying to destroy her life.
Yes, his motive was pure, unadulterated revenge. He wanted to get revenge on Ruby because he felt she fucked up someone's life. His stated goal was horrifying: to lose everything you value, to live in fear, to have everyone doubt everything you say and do. He was actively sabotaging her life from the shadows. Think about it. He sent those photos of Ruby and Triple to Ed. He stole money from the museum, getting Ruby fired. He created a distraction setting bathroom trash on fire while she was at the register and then took the cash. He even tried to run her over in Harlem with a stolen blue Honda license plate BK.
That's terrifying. Just calculated malice.
Absolutely. And he's eventually caught, actually. Security at Delaware Park catches him trying to speed out the stable gate the wrong way. They find accelerant in his car, so his plans were even darker. This really raises an important question for you, doesn't it? When you're facing such targeted, systematic sabotage, how do you even distinguish between random bad luck and deliberate malice? And how does knowing the source of the chaos change how Ruby, or how any of us, might respond?
It's chilling to think how much was orchestrated. But, amidst all this external chaos and internal turmoil, Ruby doesn't just collapse. She starts this profound internal journey, finding surprising new ways to cope, new paths forward.
Her resilience really does shine through, often in the most unexpected ways. It's quite remarkable. She takes this job, described as horrible, low-paying, at Astraland's Kentucky Derby horse racing game. She's forced to bark at strangers, basically. It's a massive step down from the museum job, dignity-wise, perhaps. But surprisingly, it fulfills this childhood fantasy she had of running away and joining the circus. Sometimes, the most unexpected paths offer the most profound forms of escape, or even self-discovery.
A strange silver lining, maybe.
Maybe. And then there's Spike, this caramel-colored puppy she spontaneously adopted from a motel parking lot. There's this immediate, really profound bond. Spike is described as wiggling so violently Ruby thought he might break. He instantly becomes this source of comfort, making her feel she couldn't live without him. This new companionship isn't just cute. It's like an anchor, right? A source of unconditional love, providing stability when everything else is just shaking.
It's incredible how that simple, loving connection can bring stability in the most unstable times. A real anchor. The narrative then brings us to Jody's tragic final moments. This part is heavy. Ruby finds her in Delaware Park. Jody's appearance is shocking. Her hair dull and snarled, face puffy, and she's in a state of bad crazy. It's attributed to a mental fugue or maybe a relapse of some kind. Then Frank, the stalker, sets the bungalow they're in on fire. And Ruby has this profound, harrowing realization that Jody could not have survived. There's this really sick irony for Ruby seeing a leg disembodied and blackened as the very last image of her psychiatrist.
It's a brutal, just brutal full circle moment for Ruby, incredibly dark. But somehow through all of that horror, there's a profound sense of reconciliation and acceptance that starts to emerge for Ruby. Ed comes back. He realizes he had a crisis, offers this heartfelt apology. "I've been an idiot," he says. And he makes this beautiful gesture, getting Spike a new collar with a brass plaque reading Spike and a lovely leash. A sign of real change, maybe.
That's a positive step, at least.
Yeah, and Ruby also slowly, but evidently, progresses in coming to terms with Attila's death. She starts accepting her really complex, fucked up feelings about Jody, acknowledging the whole mess, and she even gets rehired at the museum. Bob hires her back. It's really a testament to how healing isn't linear, It's often cyclical, with these small moments of grace and understanding popping up amidst the lingering pain.
It's truly remarkable to track Ruby's transformation. From someone who initially seemed to sort of passively navigate life's absurdities, almost detached, to someone who engages directly with everything, taking on profound, albeit really painful experiences. She starts the story feeling morbidly alone, but she ends it with these newfound connections and a much stronger, more resilient sense of self. So as we bring this deep dive to a close, Ruby's path, though extreme, often completely absurd, it really offers us incredible insights. Insights into how we find strength amidst chaos, how our coping mechanisms evolve, and how our own definition of just being fine can shift dramatically.
Yeah, consider this. Ruby Murphy, who began this whole thing feeling insanely whimsical and maybe slightly purposeless, she eventually does things like ride her horse, confront a stalker head-on, face profound loss, and she takes on real responsibility for herself and this new companion, Spike. She reflects near the end, saying, "I loved my late father, and I cherished my eccentric mother and difficult sister. She had had an alcohol problem and churned through a fair amount of love affairs, but who hadn't? On the whole, she was friends with herself." That last line, "she was friends with herself," feels really significant after everything. Her story isn't just about survival, it's about transformation. And it poses a powerful question for you, the listener. In what unexpected ways do our own personal quirks, our sometimes strange coping mechanisms, and the bizarre turns life throws at us, how do they truly shape our resilience and redefine what it means for us to be fine? How might your own fireball moments, those little things you reach for, be quietly shaping you?
Exactly. It really does make you think about your own fireballs, doesn't it? Those small, sometimes strange coping mechanisms that somehow see us through the most intense moments, and how they ultimately define who we become. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.